When Jim Kelly first met Bruce Lee during the production of Enter the Dragon, he didn't just meet a co-star, he encountered a force of nature. Bruce wasn't simply an actor playing a role, he was the embodiment of his philosophy, fluid, adaptable, and utterly authentic. Jim later confessed in interviews that Bruce immediately challenged the way he thought about martial arts. Where traditional karate relied on rigid structures, Bruce introduced freedom. Where others repeated techniques, Bruce asked, "Does it work under pressure?" It wasn't about following rules, it was about breaking them. Jim admitted that Bruce's confidence was magnetic. On set, Bruce would demonstrate movements so fast the cameras could barely keep up. But beyond the physical, it was Bruce's mindset that struck Jim most deeply. Bruce carried himself with the belief that barriers, whether cultural, racial, or artistic, were illusions to be shattered. For a black martial artist in early 70s America, this was a revelation. Shooting Enter the Dragon was unlike anything Jim Kelly had experienced. Hollywood had never seen a movie like this before. The budget was big, the stakes were high, and Bruce Lee was at the center of it all. But Bruce didn't treat Jim like a supporting character, he treated him like a brother. Behind the scenes, Bruce gave Jim advice, pushed him to refine his techniques, and made sure he had the space to shine on screen. One moment stuck with Jim forever. During filming, some of the crew underestimated him, assuming he was just there for style, not substance. Bruce noticed this. Instead of brushing it aside, Bruce put Jim front and center, showcasing his speed, his kicks, and his natural charisma. Bruce knew that representation mattered. He knew the world needed to see a strong black martial artist standing tall, not in the background, but as a hero. Jim Kelly later confessed that Bruce's support gave him confidence he never knew he had. Bruce believed in him at a time when Hollywood still hesitated to. That belief changed the course of Jim's career. What Bruce taught Jim went far beyond punches and kicks. Bruce's philosophy of Jeet Kune Do, to absorb what is useful, discard what is not, became a life principle for Jim. He often said that Bruce opened his eyes to the idea that martial arts wasn't about memorizing techniques, but about self-expression. For Jim, this was deeply personal. As a black man in America, society constantly tried to define who he was, where he fit, and how far he could go. Bruce's message was the opposite: define yourself. Jim carried this into every role he took after Enter the Dragon. Movies like Black Belt Jones and 3 the Hard Way weren't just action flicks, they were statements. They showed audiences that a black martial artist could be the star, the leader, the hero, and none of that would have happened without Bruce. After Enter the Dragon, Jim and Bruce remained close. They would train together, talk philosophy, and dream about future projects. Sadly, those dreams were cut short by Bruce's sudden death in 1973. Jim Kelly confessed that Bruce's passing hit him harder than most people realized. He had not only lost a friend, but also the man who had opened the door to his career. Yet even in grief, Jim carried forward the lessons Bruce left him. He often said that Bruce's true genius wasn't just his fighting ability, it was his ability to inspire others to find their own greatness. Bruce didn't want clones or disciples, he wanted free thinkers. And Jim Kelly became one of them. Jim Kelly's legacy cannot be separated from Bruce Lee's influence. Before Bruce, Hollywood wasn't ready to showcase a black martial arts star. After Bruce, the door cracked open, and Jim walked through it with style and confidence. In interviews years later, Jim admitted that he felt a responsibility. He knew young black kids were watching him on screen, just as he once looked up to heroes who didn't look like him. And he knew Bruce had deliberately made space for him to shine in Enter the Dragon. This was the untold legacy. Bruce Lee didn't just revolutionize martial arts, he helped reshape culture, giving voices to those who had long been ignored. Toward the end of his life, Jim Kelly reflected openly on his journey. He confessed that without Bruce Lee, his career might never have taken off. More importantly, he confessed that Bruce taught him how to believe in himself, even when the world doubted him. "He changed my life," Jim admitted, not just as a martial artist, but as a man. Bruce Lee had given him the greatest gift, the courage to be authentic, unapologetic, and free. Bruce Lee's impact wasn't just in his own fists or films, it was in the way he elevated others. Men like Dan Inosanto, Taki Kimura, and yes, Jim Kelly. Each of them carried a part of Bruce's philosophy forward, shaping the generations that followed. For Jim Kelly, the legacy wasn't about fame or money. It was about breaking barriers, inspiring others, and proving that a black martial artist could stand as tall as anyone on the world stage. Bruce Lee once said, "Absorb what is useful, reject what is useless, add what is uniquely your own." Jim Kelly lived that truth. He absorbed Bruce's wisdom, rejected the limits Hollywood tried to place on him, and added his own unique presence to martial arts cinema. Together, Bruce Lee and Jim Kelly changed not just movies, but the way entire cultures saw themselves. And that is the untold legacy. One man sparking greatness in another, so the world could see what was possible. And that is the untold legacy. One man sparking greatness in another, so the world could see what was possible. But the story doesn't end there. The ripple effect of Bruce Lee and Jim Kelly's connection spread far beyond the 1970s. Their partnership symbolized more than just martial arts. It symbolized change. It showed audiences that representation mattered, that diversity was not only possible, but powerful, and that talent could not be confined by race, tradition, or expectation. Jim Kelly himself became a symbol for millions. Young black kids who had never seen themselves reflected as strong, capable heroes suddenly had someone to look up to. And the beauty of it all was that Bruce Lee intended for this to happen. He wasn't just building his own legend, he was opening the door for others to step through. Every kick, every defiant look Jim Kelly gave on screen was a message. We belong here too. And decades later, that message still resonates. The combination of Bruce's vision and Jim's presence proved that cinema could be a mirror of real strength, real possibility, and real unity. That's why their bond remains unforgettable, not just as co-stars, but as brothers in a movement bigger than themselves.